This LOS is calculate and compare ratios of companies, including companies that use different inventory methods. Inventory ratios. 3 ratios often used to evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of inventory management are 1. The inventory turnover, 2. The days of inventory on hand, which is 365 divided by the turnover, and 3. The gross profit margin. The higher the turnover ratio, the more times that inventory is sold during the year, and the lower the relative investment of resources in inventory. A high turnover ratio and a low number of days of inventory on hand might indicate highly effective inventory management. Firms in highly competitive industries generally have lower gross profit margins than firms in industries with fewer competitors. A company's gross profit margin may be a function of its type of product. Now we'll do a couple of practice questions to help consolidate our learning. Like many technology companies, TechnoTools operates in an environment of declining prices. Its reported profits will tend to be highest if it accounts for inventory using the FIFO method, or B, the LIFO method, or C, the weighted average cost method. B is correct. In a declining price environment, the newest inventory is the lowest cost inventory. In such circumstances, using the LIFO, last in, first out, you're selling the newer, cheaper inventory first, and it's going to result in the lower cost of sales and the higher profit margin. Another practice question, compared to using the weighted average cost method to account for inventory during a period in which prices are generally rising, the current ratio of a company using the FIFO method would most likely be A, lower, B, higher, or C, dependent upon the interaction with accounts payable. B is correct. In a rising price environment, inventory balances will be higher for the company using the FIFO first in, first out, because our inventory balances is our newest purchases and they're at the higher prices, okay? So accounts payable are based on amounts due to suppliers, not the amounts accrued based on inventory accounting. So the correct answer is B, rising price environment, inventory balances will be higher. We saw that weighted average cost from a previous LOS is falling always in the middle, and it doesn't matter whether prices were rising or decreasing, weighted average cost always fit in the middle. Another quick practice question, compared to a company that uses the FIFO method during periods of rising prices, a company that uses the LIFO method will most likely appear A, more liquid, B, more efficient, or C, more profitable. So this is a good question. It goes back to our charts when we're looking at the difference between LIFO and FIFO and whether prices were increasing or decreasing. So B is correct. LIFO result in lower inventory and a higher cost of sales. Gross margin, a profitability ratio, will be lower. The current ratio, a liquidity ratio, will be lower. And inventory turnover, an efficiency ratio, will be higher. So the correct answer is B. The LIFO method will most likely appear to be more efficient. And finally, one last practice question to finish this LOS. Compared to using the FIFO method to account for inventory, during periods of rising prices, a company using the LIFO method is most likely to report higher A, net income, B, cost of sales, or C, income taxes. Okay, the correct answer is B. Compared to using the FIFO method during periods of rising prices, a company using the LIFO is more likely to report a higher cost of sales. Okay, so again, it's all coming back to this chart. I didn't put this chart on the solution for the last couple of practice problems. Maybe I should have, but we've seen this many times. We know that in the time of the rising prices under the LIFO, our cost of goods sold is higher, and so we have to go through all the different the impact on all the different ratios. So so B is correct. It's not higher net income. No, net income is lower, and income taxes are lower. So it's our cash flow from operations, which is the one that's higher. And you could see a practice question on that. So again, I just put this in because this is the last slide for this LOS. And I wanted to remind you that this chart that we've seen in the previous LOSs, a lot of these questions with regards to the different impact on the ratios relates back to this chart. So you have to understand what's going on between the income statement and the balance sheet, and therefore what's happening to some of the ratios, the numerator, the denominator, what's higher, what's lower, is the ratio higher or lower. Okay, and that's the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.